All right, so get ready because we're diving deep into Universal Mysteries by Ahmed Hulusi.
Oh, this one is packed with mind-bending ideas
Yeah, it really is.
about the universe and consciousness and what it means to be human, even kind of a blend of science fiction and philosophy and spirituality all in one.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're ready to kind of have your mind blown, buckle up.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild ride.
So we're breaking down Hulusi's ideas, pulling out those key insights, and trying to make sense of it all.
And he doesn't hold back.
Not at all.
Like he's trying to shake us awake from this everyday view of the world
Totally.
and like make us consider things we might not have even thought possible.
Yeah, exactly. So picture this. Hulusi drops us right into this world with an extraterrestrial being, Alf.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Right. And Alf is from a star called Idipia.
Idipia, interesting.
And here's the twist. Alf exists as pure intellect, no physical body.
Wait, so like no body at all?
Well, not in the way we think of it, at least.
Oh, okay, now that is where it gets really interesting, right? So how does that even work?
Well, Hulusi says Alf can choose to be tangible or intangible.
Whoa.
Like shift between those states at will.
That's wild.
It really makes you wonder, what does that tell us about our own perception of reality?
Right, like what are we missing if a being can just like shift between being there and not?
I mean, it really challenges everything we think we know, right?
Totally.
And then Alf has some thoughts on us Earthlings, too.
Oh, I bet that's interesting. What does he say?
He sees us as, well, kind of primitive in a way.
Ouch.
But he also sees this hidden potential for intellectual growth. Like, we're capable of so much more.
So we have potential. That's good.
Definitely. But we're not quite there yet, according to Alf.
Okay, I'm curious to see where this goes.
Me too. And he even mentions this mysterious figure on Earth called Dabata.
Dabata. Okay, who's that?
Well, Hulusi doesn't give us all the answers, but he says that Dabata can only be recognized by those who have, like, cleansed themselves of their conditioning.
So like we're blinded by all the stuff we've been taught.
Yeah, and all the baggage we carry around.
Okay, so there's this whole other level of reality that we can't even see until we let go of all that.
Exactly. Hulusi is saying there's so much more to discover if we just look beyond the surface.
All right, I'm ready to dig deeper.
Me too. And that's where this concept of the I comes in.
Okay, the I, yeah.
Hulusi makes this distinction between the I and our physical bodies, or even our spirits.
Interesting. I haven't thought about it like that.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing.
So if the I isn't our body or spirit, then what is it?
Well, he says the I is like the essence of universal consciousness, but it's hidden from most of us.
Oh, okay, so like we're all connected to this universal consciousness, but we don't know it.
That's the idea, yeah.
Wow. That's a lot to process.
It is, and then there's the whole question of death.
Right, death, big topic.
Hulusi describes it as basically just a disconnection from the physical body.
So like it's not really the end.
Well, he says that the whole concept of non-existence is relative. Like it depends on our perception, which is limited.
So death is more of a transition than an ending.
It seems that way, yeah, like a shift to a different state of being.
Okay, that makes more sense. Less scary, too.
I think so, and Hulusi even talks about afterlife states, like heaven and hell.
Right, heaven and hell.
He says they're not literal places, but symbolic representations of different states of consciousness.
So it's not about reward or punishment.
It seems more about the evolution of our consciousness.
Okay, that's pretty deep.
It is, and it all ties into this idea that the universe operates according to a specific order, governed by what Hulusi calls the universal intellect.
So like a grand plan.
Yeah, like everything unfolds as it should, according to this universal intellect.
So is this universal intellect like a God figure?
It's tough to say for sure. Hulusi is careful about how he uses words, especially religious terms.
Makes sense.
But it seems like he's pointing to this governing force or principle behind everything.
Okay, so not necessarily a personal God, but more of a universal law.
Yeah, that's how I understand it.
Interesting.
And then he talks about the impact of cosmic rays.
Cosmic rays, like from space.
Yeah, emanating from stars and planets.
Wow.
And he says they have a profound effect on human brain development and behavior.
So like they're shaping who we are.
That's what Hulusi suggests. He even says they can cause genetic alteration in programming.
No way. That's wild.
It is, and it's where he kind of blends science and spirituality.
Yeah, like acknowledging these forces we can't see, but that are influencing us.
Exactly. And it makes you think, are there other forces out there that we're not even aware of?
Right. Like how much is happening that we just don't understand yet?
So much, probably.
And this is all connected to the four elements too. Fire, air, water, earth.
Right. He talks about how they influence personality traits and compatibility.
So like astrology.
Kind of, yeah. It makes you think
Yeah.
maybe there's more to it than we realize.
I'm starting to think so.
He uses the example of Jem, the protagonist in the book.
Oh yeah, what about him?
He's internally an Aquarius and externally a Sagittarius.
Wait, what does that even mean?
It's about the complexity of our astrological makeup, like what elements are we made of?
Okay, so we're all like a unique blend of these cosmic ingredients.
Exactly. And understanding that might help us understand ourselves better.
I like that idea.
To All right, let's talk about the spirit, because Hulusi's view is pretty unique.
Okay, lay it on me.
He describes the spirit as this multi-layered structure made up of different waves, like carrier waves, anti-gravity waves, energy waves, and memory waves.
That's a lot of waves.
I know, right? And he uses this scientific language to explain a spiritual concept.
I can see how that might be a little tricky to grasp.
It is, but it's like he's trying to bridge the gap between science and spirituality.
Okay, I can see that. So how do these waves work?
Well, he says they're formed and programmed during fetal development and birth.
Interesting.
And get this, he says some spirits can actually escape Earth's gravitational pull because of these anti-gravity waves.
Seriously?
Yeah, sounds crazy, right? Like something out of a sci-fi movie?
It does, but I'm kind of hooked.
Me too. It makes you wonder, what are we capable of that we don't even know yet?
Right, like what if space travel is possible on a spiritual level?
Exactly. And Hulusi seems to suggest that it is, at least in some form.
Mind-blowing.
Totally. But then the question becomes, how do we unlock that potential?
Yeah, how do we tap into that?
Well, Hulusi emphasizes the importance of positive energy waves.
Okay, positive energy, I can get behind that.
Right. And he suggests that things like prayer, fasting, and pilgrimage can strengthen them.
So it's not just about our spiritual makeup, but what we do with it.
Exactly. It's about actively shaping and refining our spirit.
Like a spiritual workout.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
So it's not just accepting what we are, but striving to become more.
Precisely. And this leads us to one of Hulusi's most mind-bending concepts.
Okay, hit me with it.
He says the cosmos is actually a single body composed of infinite dimensions.
Wait, hold on. Infinite dimensions.
Yeah, no, it's a lot.
Can you break that down for me? Like, what does that even mean?
So imagine our reality, what we experience with our five senses. It's just one tiny slice
Of what?
of this much larger multidimensional existence.
Okay, so there are other dimensions out there.
Infinite dimensions, according to Hulusi.
And each one is like a different reality.
Yeah, with different rules, different laws, maybe even different ways of perceiving time and space.
Wow, that's a lot to take in.
It really is. It makes you feel pretty small. Right?
Oh, definitely puts things in perspective.
So if that's the case, where do we fit into all of this?
Right, like what's our role in this multidimensional universe?
I think that's the question Hulusi wants us to ask.
It's a good one, and I'm not sure I have the answer.
Me neither, but I think the journey of trying to find the answer is what it's all about.
I can agree with that.
And Hulusi suggests that our five senses are actually limiting us.
Limiting us how?
Like we're only seeing a tiny fragment of this vast, interconnected reality.
So we're missing the bigger picture.
Yeah, it's like trying to understand a huge, complex painting by only looking at a few brushstrokes.
I see what you mean. We're only getting a tiny glimpse.
Exactly. And then Hulusi throws out this idea that's even more mind-blowing.
Okay, I'm ready. What is it?
He says the whole universe might actually be a dream.
A dream.
Yeah, a dream within the consciousness of the one.
The one.
The ultimate reality, beyond all dimensions.
So we're all just characters in some cosmic dream.
That's one way to interpret it, yeah.
Wow, that is a lot to wrap my head around.
No, it's a lot to process, but it points to this interconnectedness of everything.
Like we're all part of something much bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. And our individual consciousness is just a part of this larger universal consciousness.
Yeah, okay, that's starting to make a little more sense.
Good, because it gets even more interesting from here.
Oh, I bet it does.
But we'll have to save that for next time.
I can't wait.
Me neither.
So where were we? Yes, the universe being a dream. Wild stuff.
It is. But Hulusi doesn't stop there. He goes on to say that the key to, like, waking up from that dream is developing our brains.
Our brains. Okay, how do we do that?
By tapping into their full potential, he says we have to go beyond our five senses.
So not just seeing and hearing and all that, but something more.
Right, like expanding our consciousness.
Okay, I'm following. So how do we actually do that? Develop our brains, I mean. Does he give any, like, practical advice?
Yeah, actually he does. He suggests things like repeating specific words or mantras.
Mantras, like meditation and stuff.
Yeah, kind of like that. But Hulusi seems to approach it from a more scientific angle.
So it's like a brain workout, not just a spiritual thing.
Right, he talks about activating dormant brain cells, strengthening our mental abilities.
Interesting. So it's almost like physical exercise, but for the mind?
Exactly. And he even gets into some pretty out there ideas like manipulating matter with brain power.
Whoa, hold on. Manipulating matter, you mean like telekinesis?
Yeah, he mentions things like hypnosis and those Filipino healers who supposedly do surgery without instruments.
I've heard of that, but I always thought it was like a trick or something.
Hulusi doesn't dismiss it, though. He seems to think there's something real there.
So he's saying we might have these hidden powers that we just don't know how to access.
That's what it sounds like, yeah. Like our brains are capable of so much more than we realize.
But how do we unlock that potential? Like, where's the instruction manual for the brain?
Well, Hulusi emphasizes knowledge and understanding as being key.
So studying, learning, contemplating all these ideas.
Exactly. It's not just about mystical practices, but about engaging with these concepts intellectually.
So it's like a combination of spiritual and intellectual growth.
Yeah, it's about integrating both sides.
I like that it's not just about meditating on a mountaintop, but actually putting in the mental work.
Right, and this leads us to one of Hulusi's more unsettling concepts.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued. What is it?
Being buried alive in the afterlife.
Buried alive. That sounds a little creepy.
It is a bit, but it's not about a literal burial, more about a state of consciousness.
So what does he mean by that?
He's saying that if we're too attached to our physical bodies during life, we can get stuck in that identification after death.
So even though we're in our spirit body, we're still clinging to this idea of being our physical selves.
Exactly, and that creates this sensation of being trapped, like buried alive.
Wow, that's heavy. So it's like a psychological prison we create for ourselves.
That's the idea, yeah, and it comes from not understanding our true nature as spiritual beings.
Okay, so how do we avoid that fate? Is there like an antidote to being buried alive?
Hulusi says the key is to cultivate an understanding of our spiritual essence, to shift our focus from the material to the spiritual, from the temporary to the eternal.
So it's about recognizing that we're more than just our physical bodies, that we're souls having a human experience.
Exactly, and it all comes back to developing our brains, expanding our consciousness, seeing beyond the illusion of the physical world.
It's like we have to wake up to our true nature.
And not just to avoid a bad afterlife, but to live a more fulfilling life right now.
That makes sense. So it's about liberation in both this life and the next.
Precisely. And Hulusi seems to be offering a path to achieve that.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together, but there's one thing that's been bugging me.
What's that?
This whole God thing. Hulusi's view seems very different from what I'm used to.
Yeah, it's definitely not the traditional view.
He says Allah isn't a god, but a system, an order governing the universe. I'm not sure I understand that.
It's a bit abstract for sure, but it's more about a universal principle than a personal deity.
So it's not about worshiping a god who judges us.
More about understanding and aligning ourselves with this cosmic system.
Like figuring out the rules of the universe and playing by them.
Right, and Hulusi is really against seeking favors or rewards from God.
Why is that?
He thinks it keeps us stuck in this cycle of dependence and separation, like we're always begging for something.
Instead, we should be focusing on understanding this cosmic order and living in harmony with it.
Exactly. It's about self-reliance, taking responsibility for our own lives.
So it's not about divine intervention, but about becoming conscious creators of our own reality.
That's the idea. And it's pretty empowering when you think about it.
It is, and then there's this whole other layer with those beings he talks about, the Citrians, Delphians, Shadians, Zebians.
Right, like a whole cast of extraterrestrial characters.
Are they meant to be taken literally, or are they more symbolic?
It's not totally clear. Hulusi leaves some room for interpretation.
Okay, so what do they represent?
Different levels of consciousness, different forces at play in the universe.
Some good, some bad.
Yeah, like the Delphians seem to be benevolent, embodying positive energy.
And the Zebians.
They're more like the darker side, representing negativity and destruction.
So it's like this cosmic drama unfolding, and we're just starting to see the other actors on the stage.
Exactly, and Hulusi suggests we're not just observing them, but interacting with them, learning from them.
Wow, so we're part of this larger cosmic community.
It seems that way, and as we evolve, we become more aware of these connections.
But it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? We have to be careful who we interact with.
Right, Hulusi says to be discerning, trust our intuition, because not all beings are friendly.
Makes sense. It's like navigating a complex social scene, but on a cosmic level.
Exactly, and ultimately comes down to making choices that align with our highest good.
So we have free will, even in this grand cosmic scheme.
Absolutely. Hulusi's message is all about empowerment, reminding us that we have the power to choose our path, to shape our destiny.
It's like we're not just puppets in some cosmic play, we're active participants.
Right, and we can create a reality that reflects our deepest values.
So it's not just about what happens to us after we die, but about how we live right now.
Exactly, it's about becoming conscious creators, both individually and collectively.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture, but there's one question that still lingers in my mind.
What's that?
If this life is temporary and the afterlife is just a continuation of our spiritual journey, what's the end goal? Like, what are we striving for?
Well, it's a deep question, for sure.
It
And
is.
Hulusi digs into it, big time.
So what does he say? Like, what's the point of it all?
He talks about achieving this state of true liberation, you know?
Liberation?
Yeah,
Okay.
like complete freedom from all the limitations, from our ego, from the material world, all of it.
So it's not about going to heaven or anything like that.
No, it's bigger than that. It's about transcending our limited sense of self, merging with that universal consciousness, the one.
Oh, right, the one. So it's like we're all becoming one.
In a way, yeah, it's about recognizing that inherent unity with everything, experiencing the world from a place of love, compassion, wisdom, all that.
It's like waking up to who we really are.
Exactly, and it's a journey, a process of self-discovery and spiritual awakening.
But it's not passive, right? We have to put in the work.
Definitely, Hulusi emphasizes that.
So what can we do? Like, how do we get there? Well, he gives us tools, techniques. He encourages us to develop our brains, strengthen our spirits, understand those universal laws.
So it's about taking responsibility for our own growth,
Mm.
becoming conscious creators.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to those other beings, the Cetrians, Delphians, all those guys.
Right, like they're part of the journey
Yeah, they're
too.
like examples, showing us what's possible.
So the Delphians, they represent the good stuff.
Yeah.
Love, wisdom, all that.
Yeah, they're like the role models, the ones who've evolved.
And the Zebians, they're the opposite.
Yeah, the shadow side, the potential for negativity and destruction.
Like warnings almost.
Right, showing us what to avoid.
So we're not just observing these beings, we're interacting with them too.
Hulusi suggests that, yeah, like there's this possibility of communication, collaboration even.
So it's like this cosmic community we're all part of.
It's a mind-blowing concept, for sure.
It is, and it makes you realize we're not alone in this.
But we have to be careful too, right? Not all these beings are looking out for our best interest.
Right? Hulusi says to trust our intuition, develop our ability to sense energy, to navigate it all.
It's like we need to become wise cosmic travelers.
Exactly. And ultimately, it comes down to making choices that align with our highest good.
It's about trusting that inner compass,
And that's what Hulusi's message is all about. Empowerment.
reminding us we have the power to choose our path, to shape our destiny, to create a reality that reflects our values.
It's inspiring when you think about it.
It is, and it's a lot to take in, for sure.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into universal mysteries.
From the nature of the universe to the structure of the spirit, it's been quite a journey.
It has. So, as we wrap up, what's the one thing you hope listeners will take away from all this?
I think the biggest takeaway is this. The universe is vast, it's mysterious, it's full of wonder and possibility, and we're part of it. We have the potential to wake up to who we really are, to contribute to this evolution of consciousness.
It's a journey of self-discovery, growth, liberation, and it's available to all of us.
That's the beauty of it.
Absolutely. So to our listeners, as you continue to explore these ideas, remember you're not alone.
There are resources out there, teachers, communities, all sorts of support.
Keep seeking, keep questioning, keep expanding your understanding.
And most importantly, trust your intuition. Follow your heart.
That's the compass that will guide you.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into universal mysteries.
Until next time, keep those minds buzzing.